Hello everyone, Mark here. Thought I'd do a posting today in two parts. The first part is a message to a couple that we've recently been in contact with, and I'm not going to give names or locations. I'm not even going to give any details as to what they've been going through recently, simply because this is ongoing and there are a number of things that they are doing and fighting for which I would not want to prejudice right now in any way. But they know that I'm actually doing this recording today partly for them as a family. Cora and I just want to let you know that everything that we've seen and heard from your case so far is appalling, is an absolute shocking state of affairs. From the generics of your case and the history of it, through to the way that you as a family have been treated. It is shocking, and I'm sure that from what I can gather, there are a few that maybe you have shared this with already. But in time, if you do decide to share this with others, then it will be yet another case that will probably just shock a lot more people as to the way that you've been treated. We don't know you personally, but we have made this contact and we have spoken to you on the telephone, and we just wanted to make it very clear to you that you are loved and supported, not just by us, but by thousands of us out there that are speaking up and letting the world know that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society and the way it treats people is a disgrace. And we want the world to know that. Why? Two reasons. One, because it's extremely destructive what they're doing, and that way they empower the undue influence on others, is leading many to poor health, mental illness, and in some cases driving them to suicide. We know this for a fact, don't we, Watchtower? Secondly, because they claim to be of charitable status, and we know they do nothing for society as a whole. All they do is purvey a toxicity that actually reaches far beyond the boundaries of Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. Much of what happens to people that they judge and reprove and disfellowship and sidelined actually has an effect on the whole family, many of them who've never even been Jehovah's Witnesses. And for those that are in this position, you have my utmost sympathy for what's going on here. And I'm sure there will be many nodding their heads knowing exactly what I'm talking about. So the effects are far-reaching, and the devastation that these men cause when they sit in judgment of other men is quite incredible. Going back to the couple that we're originally just here to give a message to, we have heard your recordings, and as I say, they were very damning and show very clearly how the elders abuse their positions of power. I have here in front of me the book that doesn't exist, as we call it. They like to call it the Shepherd the Flock of God book. The shepherding is something that really isn't in there in reality, is it? But just to finish on this first part of the message, if ever you want to talk, or if you want us to come down and see you, we are more than happy to do that, as you already know now. We have a great deal of love and support for you, and that will be ongoing, because as I understand it, you as a family are at this moment in time in a great suffering from trauma. You've been through basically an assault on your senses, and from what I understand, maybe even a physical assault. But that's for another day. But the emotional devastation this has caused you as a family should not be underestimated here. And the way that you've been sidelined. And you have to deal with that now. So the reason that we're doing this posting is just to let you know that we understand how that feels. Many of us do. Because we've been there. We've had to deal with the anger issues. We've had to deal with the injustice. We've had to deal with what seems to be a never-ending story and saga to the plight that you can find yourself in. And you're looking for solutions. You're looking to just put this behind you, both mentally and emotionally, and move on with your life. But they don't make it easy for you to do that. They want to leave you in the most devastated and destructive position that they possibly can, because they would claim that you are breaking their rules. And that is something that we find appalling, especially when you look at each individual case and you see that the injustices that take place vary in the way that they're seen, the way that they're acted upon. And if a group of men decide that they are to railroad someone in what is supposed to be an unbiased judicial hearing, then they will do so. And they will do it quite often because they are trying to protect someone of their own within a family arrangement within the Kingdom Hall, and they would rather see someone else disfellowshipped as a result, who might be putting up their hand and saying, excuse me, what that person is doing over there is extremely wrong and I want something done about that. And they find themselves in a great deal of trouble because of it, don't they? Watch out. So our message is, please, if you need our support or that of others, there are lots of us out there. We are ready and willing to help you. And you know that now. We're very proud of what you've done, and we're very proud of the fact that you're standing up now and saying, no, I am not putting up with this any longer. It's a disgrace what's happened to you. And it will come out. It will come out. Moving on slightly, because it got me thinking about the elders. I have a friend, a lifelong friend, that was an elder, who sat down with me one day, and he was telling me, this is when he was waking up, that he found that the whole elder arrangement and the judicial hearings in particular, the judicial committees that are set up, to be, for want of a better word, unforgiving. He didn't feel that the society was forgiving. He felt that the society was a punishment squad in most cases, and especially if someone wasn't conforming to the way that they wanted them to conform, even to the point where they're using words such as brazen conduct, which basically covers everything. Throw him in with the brazen conduct and you've got him anyway. Disfellowship him, keep it secret, nobody has to know about it, and we can contain it, control it, and this individual can just be left in that emotional abyss with no sanctuary, no help, no support, left on their own. How many people have reached a point of suicide because they've been put in that position by a group of men? Here's another question. Do you think because I'm wearing this suit and a collar and tie, that makes me important? When they hold these judicial meetings, they are in a suit, just like what I'm wearing now. And they put on this air of confidence that they are working in God's approval, that they are doing God's work, that they are there to make sure that the congregation is kept clean. But as time has gone on, more and more of us who are putting our hands up and saying, this is what happened to me, and me, and me, and me, they're not showing a clean congregation at all. They're not showing a clean organisation. What they're doing is actually showing what they really are as an organisation. That the elder groups use their power, use the undue influence on those within their flock, as they call it, to control, to manipulate, to make sure that everybody adheres to the edicts of the watchtower. There is no room for personalities or characters or people exploring, trying different things out. If you don't conform, then you will be destroyed. Their latest literature makes it clear that if you're disfellowshipped, you're not even to mourn such individuals. I could go on and on. I had a quick look through this book, preparing for judicial hearings and judicial hearing procedures. This is what it says on page 86 of the book that doesn't exist. And this is Fair Use Watchtower, okay? If the accused threatens suicide, in judicial cases where the accused threatens suicide, it may be best for the committee to suspend the hearing to focus on helping him regain his balance. It may be best for the committee to suspend the hearing to focus on helping him regain his balance. This is someone that's threatening suicide. Now, in a normal world, if you're putting pressure on someone and they're saying they're going to kill themselves, wouldn't you just drop everything? Wouldn't you just leave them alone? Wouldn't you just give them as much time and love and support as they needed to start getting better? Well, not in the Jehovah's Witness world. That doesn't happen. In the Jehovah's Witness world, they may suspend the meeting. And then read on a little bit further, and it says that they should assure him of the committee's desire to help him. Okay, all right. Then broach the subject of depression and suicide. Okay, using the scriptures and Bible-based publications. So here is someone that's threatening suicide, and they're now going to broach the subject of depression and suicide with him. Are they expert at this? Are they trained at this? Are they accredited in some way as being able to help someone that is suicidal? I think not. Many of these guys that are in this position reading this book that I'm reading now are, and I do not say this with disrespect, but are window cleaners, bakers, office staff, janitors, all sorts of people. Are they equipped to deal with a potential suicide case? No, they're not. Then it goes on to say this, depending upon his emotional state. Well, who makes that decision on his emotional state? Who's qualified to say that person has a stable emotional state? Depending upon his emotional state. They're making a judgment of this guy's or this woman's emotional state. It may be best to do this a day or two later. Remember, we're talking about a judicial hearing here. So we might have to put off the meeting for a couple of days or a day because they're suicidal. Can you see where I'm going with this? I'm going to stop there on this particular issue. But I've been reading through this stuff on the judicial hearing procedures. And although they have it in their books and their instructions, they not only follow it, but they act upon it in such a way as that they manipulate it at times, or they just get it completely and totally and utterly wrong. They would argue that they're imperfect. Yes, they are. They are very imperfect. But when we look at the macro of this and the Watchtower itself, the organization itself, whenever they have these judicial hearings, it creates devastation, it creates suicides, it creates mental illness, it creates family situations that then end up breaking up, divorces, marriage breakups. It creates nothing but devastation, no matter which way you want to look at this. And one of the saddest things of all is that when these men shut the door on someone and they disfellowship that person, there is no rehabilitation. There is no support structure. That this person now has been ousted from the congregation, maybe from family and friends, maybe from a business, maybe even from his own accommodation. This person is destroyed, and they are left destroyed. These are the things that when you're having a Bible study, they don't talk about. These are the things that they let go, that are kept secret, kept away from those prospective Bible students as they're coming up to baptism. They will not know any of this until they fall foul of it themselves. I know if we've got good friends where they've had children abused and they've raised the awareness of that, only to find themselves in big trouble because they're then accused of dividing the congregation, causing division. Because the organization is not fit to govern itself on issues that are basically breaking the law. They think they can do it themselves. And going back to this couple, listening to the audio recordings that I heard, it's very clear that they do not like it when things are shared with outside authorities. And that's been the case up and down the country and around the world. So anybody watching this that is a prospective Bible study candidate for baptism, think very carefully about what you're getting involved in, because if you do disagree with them, or you'll find yourself transgressing in any way, even under the word brazen conduct, ask an elder what that means, brazen conduct. It's not something that you even know about until you find yourself in a judicial hearing. It covers basically anything. And you will find yourself on the wrong side of this, and it will devastate you. So run a mile. There are different ways to find the scriptures in a more solid and more personal way. Following the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society will leave you without a personality, without an individuality, without a character. You will become a conformist drone. And I say that with the utmost respect to all of those Jehovah's Witnesses that may be watching this in the future. Because until you come out and start finding your original identity that you went in with, you are just that, conforming into something that you're not really that person. I'm going to leave it here. I wanted to share this with this couple and with their family. I wanted to make it very clear that the Watchtower uses and abuses its own people through the establishment of an elder or clergy class setup, and it has nothing but devastating effects on many. They would argue differently, that they are keeping the congregation clean. But when you read the instruction books, and I've given you an example there just on the one issue of suicide, they haven't got a clue what they're doing. All they're doing is getting themselves into deeper water. And what tears us apart inside, us and every activist out there, is that there somewhere in the world, someone today will fall into that category of becoming extremely and emotionally distressed, maybe even fall into mental illness and physical illness as a result, and some sadly may even tip them over the edge to commit suicide. These are people that the Watchtower do not recognize as being anywhere near culpable and responsible for, and yet they're exactly the right ones that have caused this terrible, terrible situation to happen. Thank you for listening, and to that couple, we love you, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the future. Goodbye for now.